sometimes it happens to us that when everything is dark around us, it's when we look up to see if there's any stars out there. And I think that something similar happened to me. And it was a funny way of God breaking into my life personally, because it started with a friend, the brother of a friend, inviting me to a retreat back in Omaha. And I told this guy, no, thank you, I'm not interested. But this guy would come to the place where I lived every blessed day to invite me to this retreat. And I would tell him no. And after days of him, he was showing up again and again and again. And I'm like, okay, saying no is not working. So I'm going to tell him that I'm going, and then I won't show up to the retreat. And I fill it up and I give it to him, and he didn't come back the next day. So to me, it was like, great, it worked. But then the day before the retreat, he came back to remind me about the retreat. And he was going to give me a ride to the retreat. And I said, well, I already said that I was going, so might as well show up and take the bullet. And I showed up, and I didn't like anything I saw at the retreat. People were singing and dancing and calling each other brother and sister. And to me, it was like, I was about like 20, 21 years old. And to me, it was like, this is ridiculous. But I remember when the priest would give the talks, they would preach Bible. Something started to click with me. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know, this makes sense. It was reasonable to me, the things that they would say. And that was the beginning of my coming back to church. And after the retreat, I remember I wanted to find out if this was true, if this Jesus thing was true. So I started to do my own research and find out what world history said about Jesus and who is this guy, was he even real? And you find all sorts of opinions, but bottom line is there is enough evidence for us to believe that there is a Jesus of Nazareth. And I'm like, okay, well. And I started checking out the boxes. And then I started to read church documents, church history, the life of the saints. And the more I did, the more in love I fell with what I was finding. By this point, I was already going to Mass and visiting Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. And through doing that, I received this conviction that in the Eucharist, there's Jesus. It's truly him. And it's when I realized, well, if he is here, and he is not like this everywhere else in all the other denominations, Christian denominations, then there is nowhere else that I have to go. And it doesn't matter what happens around. He is here, and because he is here, I need to stay here. My journey to priesthood has been of a constant pull and tug with God. And I was very honest with him. When I would go to prayer, sometimes I would tell him off. I'm like, well, what kind of friend are you? I told you my dreams, and now you're crushing them for this priesthood thing, and I don't like it, I don't want it. But there was a point in which it dawned on me, if that's what God wanted for me, then I should try it.